This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, we now bring you a discussion on Global Investors Meet 2019. The participants are K.A. Badrinath, Economic Analyst, and Arya Madan Mohan, Journalist.
Badriji, as you know, there's a large global investor summit called Himachal Rising being held in Dharamshala by various institutions related to the Himachal government and Indian industries, etc. A lot of inward investment is being sought from companies abroad and indeed from political entities abroad as well. Prime Minister Modi has also been there to inaugurate. So this is a very critical thing for us. Is it in terms of inward investment, and why is it so important?
The issue here is that investments, whether it is domestic or foreign, have been very important in terms of hastening up the growth of the Indian economy. Domestic corporate savings or domestic savings alone cannot add up to the kitty of the government to run the industries, expand the industrial activity, services, as well as infrastructure. So, my guess is that also given the fact that we are growing at a modest 5%, perhaps this is the right time. The timing is very important in the sense that to attract investments across both domestic as well as foreign. Why I am saying domestic is that though foreign companies have been more gung-ho about India, domestic companies for some reason or the other have not been looking at expanding their existing capacities as well as starting up new greenfield projects.
A lot of them also are being affected by the NPA, by the productive loans being that they had invested going bad based on a slowdown in the economy, etc. So I guess
my guess is more than the particular issues. My guess is the motivation factor seems to be missing. The sentiment seems to be low, though the market has been very bullish.
So I think the market, yes, as you said, the market, two reasons, I guess. One is the corporate tax, the reduction in the corporate tax rate, which really kicked it off, and then now the real estate thing and, in terms of that.
In the sense that these are some of the steps which will attract investment. For example, today, the Prime Minister, while inaugurating the Himachal Pradesh Global Investor Summit, which is the first of its kind in this hill state, and which is bordering Nepal and China, the point here is that two things he referred to. One is the very, very, very simplistic and investor-friendly taxation regime where the human interface is very limited. You file your tax return and forget about it. Second part he talked about is the corporate tax rates themselves, which have been reduced, slashed, and they are one of the lowest globally. And if it is a new company that you're floating and you're going to set up for investment, the tax liability is just 15%.
Yeah. But then of course you can't avail of any subsidies, but that's fine because that's simplifying the tax structure.
You're moving towards a market-oriented economy. It's perfectly alright in the sense that as long as your tax liabilities are limited, your ease of doing business is there, and you are able to keep your life simple, then the transaction costs that get invested, that the investors incur will be much, much lesser. So this will be more than the subsidies that they will be availing. For example, power costs, the water costs, and taking so many clearances, and acquiring land for it, Bijli connection, everything.
But then I think recently, as you know, the ease of doing business in India has been improving. Perhaps mainly in the metros, but there is a kind of a movement out of the metros towards the states, the hinterlands to some extent, where the government is actively trying to boost investment and make it simpler with single window clearances, etc.
Himachal Pradesh itself is the best example, where the Prime Minister referred to this issue, saying that Himachal Pradesh has brought in a lot of transparency in governance, and also the investments clearance is a single window clearance which has been set up in Himachal Pradesh. And he also talked about ease with which people can set up their projects in Himachal Pradesh. And henceforth, my guess is that ease of doing business also he talked about in other contexts as well. In the sense that, the recent World Bank report talks about, bringing India's global ranking has gone up in a big way, and we have jumped almost 76 or 79 places in the last 6 years. And the target is to hit the first 25 places, which includes right now Hong Kong, New Zealand, and and things like that.
Yes.
So point here is that we have started off somewhere. Even if it means limiting yourself to metros like Delhi and Bombay. Next year, as per the World Bank's reworked formula, even Calcutta and Madras, that is Chennai, will be included while getting into. And slowly, around 10 to 12 cities will be taken in every country to do their ranking in terms of ease of doing business kind of a thing.
So Badri, just a quick question. You said different metros. So increasing the metros are actually competing against one another to get inward investment or even to get local investment. So do you see the same thing happening with the states as well? Are they going to start offering SOPs or tax-free periods for inward investment or whatever?
Prime Minister talked about a healthy competition between different states to attract investment.
Yeah.
And if you recall, he had started a large campaign called Vibrant Gujarat Summit, where the world's largest summit of investors continues to take place even after Mr. Modi moved to center. So here the issue is this campaign has taken off in a big way in different states, irrespective of which political party is in power and things like that. For example, recently you had a big summit in Bhopal run by a Congress government headed by Kamal Nath, and there again it was huge in the sense that today states are competing with each other to provide better infrastructure, better facilities and easy clearances and try and handhold investors so that the investments get realized very quickly.
So Badri, the moment the Indian economy, our economy, is decidedly in quite a significant slowdown. A lot of companies may be wanting to come in, but then they look at the economy and they say, is it going to get worse? What's going to happen? At the same time, I remember we were talking about for the program, and you said this is the time when they should be investing because you get low interest rates, loans, etc. Can you expand on that?
There are two issues to the question. One is the low interest rates and low inflation. Both of them are a big attraction for any investor to put in his or her money into India. Second part is that you have a situation like where the tax rates have been reduced. And thirdly, most of the company or most of the governments, state governments are so environmentally conscious that they would want environment-friendly investments. And in fact, Prime Minister referred to this kind of a situation where he wants Himachal Pradesh also to be declared as a organic state like Sikkim. And Sikkim Chief Minister was invited to share his experiences so that Himachal can also become a huge state for organic production of agriculture products, then fruits, vegetables and grains and everything.
So in fact it was interesting, I was just checking it out a few minutes ago, and the areas that are defined in terms of the inward investment for Himachal Pradesh in particular: agribusiness, food processing, post-harvest technology, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, tourism, hospitality, civil aviation, hydro, Ayush, wellness, Ayurveda, effectively housing, urban development. So they're really targeting everything. Isn't Himachal Pradesh more suited perhaps to, because of its unique position, maybe horticulture and apples, etc., and tourism? Are these old concepts of business now?
No, environment, taking the nice weather conditions there and a very friendly weather condition, tourism was given the big boost in the beginning, in the few formative years. And after that, the big industrial estate that has been set up there is Baddi Industrial Estate.
That's near Solan, I
think. Near
Yes.
Solan. And which has evolved into a huge manufacturing base for pharmaceuticals. And it has become a big generic. All the generic medicines that are produced in this country at the most cost-effective rates, which China envies in a big way. And this is done from the industrial estate. And many of the US companies which are coming into pharmaceutical generics business are also putting up their bases in Baddi. And also apart from that, organic was one issue that Prime Minister has focused upon. Third is hydroelectric potential in the state is very huge.
Because the power is very good, actually.
And it stabilizes your entire electric grid and all that, power grid. And my guess is that, and it will also be very cheap or cost effective, and which will again become a huge attraction for the investors. And also, third part is a small or a modest state which has very simple, friendly people and all that. And you recall that Himachal Pradesh is the one which started village-based tourism. I think it's in Kangra district. And they started village-based tourism where they would like to show off their agricultural practices which are nature-friendly and which are sustainable in a big way over the years.
Nomura had written a report earlier this year about increasing FDI into India, and their view was that we needed more investment in infrastructure to be able to do it. Though they were very much taking into cognizance the fact that our ease of doing business index, we jumped many places, as you said earlier. So what kind of infrastructure does Himachal Pradesh have? I know there's been a lot of road building activity there, but specifically power is good, roads are there, what else?
Best thing about it is you have industry-friendly people there, which is going to be a big human resource. Prime Minister spoke about 4 issues. One is a government that encourages investments. And second part is the industry which is wanting to explore Himachal Pradesh as an investment destination. Third part of the story is that knowledge base is there. Like you have IIIT, you have IIMs, you have ISC. So you have institutes of excellence where you get ready-made or trained human resource there, which is available and which is cost-effective as well. Then the fourth part of the story is that you have an environment which will kick off investments in a big way, and it can also multiplier effect can be expected from that. So Prime Minister thinks that, look, even a small state like Himachal Pradesh trying to, rub shoulders with the big boys is a big issue, and henceforth my guess is that even if this is the first summit, you may see by the end of tomorrow evening, you would have a fair idea as to which are the companies which are willing to put themselves into Himachal Pradesh. My guess is even in the hydroelectric power projects, some of the projects were stopped because of the environmental concern, but you can always redesign the hydroelectric projects causing least disturbance to the natural environment.
So, just a few days ago, we pulled out of the RCEP negotiations with the rest of Asia and with China, of course. So this is very critical for us because we won't be getting perhaps inward investment to the extent before. We need to generate our own investment and, of course, bring in investment, targeted investment into India.
You mentioned about RCEP. Having the entire Global Investors Summit in Dharmashala is like walking into the neighborhood of China, and where Nepal is a buffer state.
I don't necessarily think it was planned that way, but it just happened.
It happened. It's coincidental,
yes,
perhaps.
Yes.
Because of the Chinese pressure on the other 14 countries, India could not get the right kind of terms to be part of the RCEP. And henceforth, it's my guess it's like a warning that is served to the big neighbor, saying that, look, you better need to check it out as to how India is going to behave and get its own investment with or without RCEP. Second part to the story is, with or without China, India has been a very conducive, environment-friendly or investor-friendly country that it has its own momentum to get investments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Global Investors Meet 2019. The participants were K.A. Badrinath, Economic Analyst, and Arya Madan Mohan, Journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.